Hello, it's Tuesday, March 4th, and we are helping out our good friend here with Blue Betty. We got a little bit of a coolant leak, but that's not really the main thing. We're upgrading some solar for her. I just took off the panels from the roof. I'm going to go up on the roof in a minute, and I'll show you what we got going on up there. So it's a Renogy system, and it looks like these are good panels, but they just haven't been enough to keep her battery up. 175 watt panels, and she had two. And like I say, I just removed them. They were bonded on there really good with some nice kind of urethane adhesive. They weren't going anywhere. The screws really weren't going into much at all, but the urethane was really holding. It took me quite a while to get these things pried loose from there. I'm going to go on the roof with an eraser wheel and get the rest of the glue off, and then we're going to put some screws in the holes up there, and next we're going to start to do the reinstallation. These two panels are going to go back on the bus but further to the rear. I'll show you that in a bit. And then we're going to get two more panels up front. All right, that's how clean it comes with the eraser wheel, and that's what it looked like before. Oh, that residual glue there, it takes it right off. I took the wire wheel and cleaned off all the goop from these screws, and now they're soaking in acetone. And we're going to put those back up there in a little bit with some Gorilla Construction adhesive to plug the holes. Now I'm going to go up there and clean the roof around the holes with some paper towels and isopropyl alcohol, which I should have someplace right here. Okay, and I got much left, and this is the good stuff, 91%. All right, so now I put some of that Gorilla Construction adhesive on the holes. Well, first I clean it with isopropyl, then we put the Gorilla Construction adhesive, and we're just going to put these screws right back in the holes they came from, and I'm not going to tighten them any more than that, because there's not much here to screw into. This is some really thin stuff, so I'm not going to crank down on it. Yeah, see, this one's stripped already. I didn't even get any force on it, but the construction adhesive is going to do all the work for us. That's some good stuff. Now, it's super sticky, and I normally don't ever use my finger on it because it's such a mess, but I want to make sure I get it up around everything. And we're going to come back after this cures. We're going to come back and put a little blob on the top of it. And if you want to clean up with this, you use mineral spirits. Hold on a second here. All right, that's sealed. It looks like heck. We'll come back later and once that's cured, we'll come back and put a nice little spooge over the top of it. Perfect. This roof vent thing is in the way. I just use my putty knife and hammer to get up underneath it and pry it off, or cut it off, I guess. It looks like it was sealed on there pretty good, but you know, it's just a potential roof leak. So we are using our eraser wheel to clean this up. Put a piece of flat aluminum on it. the drill construction engine, so we don't have to worry about leaks ever, and it'll be flat and not in the way of our panels. Those eraser wheels really do work good. 0% chance of rain today, according to the weather app, and it's raining on me. And now I got this hole open. Alrighty, so we are ready to go back on the roof of the bus and install this. I traced onto a piece of aluminum with this plastic cover, and then I used my transfer punches through there to mark the holes. Well, I cut it out with the table saw with a regular wood blade, and then I used my sandpaper wheel on this piece of 1/4-inch aluminum to smooth it out, and then I filed the edges, and then I punched the holes, and I just got done sanding where the glue's going to go, and I identified, I got these screws were just a tad bigger than the ones that we took out, and bigger in diameter, and I think that's going to be just right. They're self-tappers. I added 2 extra holes that weren't there before, so hopefully that doesn't mess with my brain cell when I'm up on the roof. I got my socket, and now I got to find my drill and my adapter to put this in. Gorilla Construction adhesive is still on the roof, I think. Yeah, I think the mineral spirits is up there too. Okay, we're getting ready to stick this thing. So I had cleaned this with the eraser wheel. That's just all that's left of it now. And got most of the goop off, and then we used the mineral spirits to dissolve the goop, which is just barbecue starter fluid. And just now I cleaned it with isopropyl alcohol, both of these halves. Now we're getting ready to smear Gorilla Construction adhesive. I'm not using the tip. I probably should for this operation, but once you use the tip, then it clogs up on you. This is already skinned over right here. I'm going to break this little skinned off part and put a bead. I guess I'll put it on the lid. I'm going to put a thin bead. This roof is so thin here, it's going to want to flex when I put this on there. It's going to, this stuff is so thick, it's going to try to, flex in between the screws. So I gotta move kind of quick, because this actually does set up pretty fast. Starts to set up pretty fast. And once we get it on there, I got the screws in my pocket. Let me get those out of my pocket. And then we're gonna clean up around the edges with the mineral spirits. My screws. How much I put on there. And we're in place. Now I put the bead where all the holes, the line of holes are, so we automatically get a little bit of adhesive to seal the holes under the screw heads. You know, I think I'll put a little extra on each screw like this. All right. Oh, that one doesn't have a hole down there. All right, I need 2 hands, so hold on. And that's what that looks like. Now I'm gonna put a little extra around this edge, and then we're gonna clean the whole thing up with mineral spirits on paper towels, dampened with mineral spirits. That's a beautiful thing. Nice little feather edge all the way around. That is airtight. All right, it's Wednesday, March 5, 2025. Yeah, I just took the panels, as dirty as they are, which is fine. They're used, right? Went out in the sun and I checked the open circuit voltage. We were getting about 20 volts. And this says 21.6. And then I shorted them out, just plugged them into each other and checked the amperage, and I was getting around 10 amps. And that's what it says it should be. So panels are performing good. One was a little higher than the other. One's a little dirtier than the other. So we got some comfort with that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. We're getting ready now to cut our first piece of aluminum that we're going to attach to the roof. And by the end of the day today, I would like to at least have these two panels reattached to the roof in their new location in the back. And a good solid plan for how we're going to bring the wiring into the bus. I've got some ideas and I'll share that with you in a minute. Alrighty, so here's what we've got done so far this morning. Got this drilled out the whole length with the number 21 drill bit. Then we went on the roof, put it in place, and drilled right through here and the one on the other end. Then we lifted it up and drilled it with a larger bit that the screw will slip through. Then we attached this to the roof at both ends. And then we went down the line and drilled through the roof with the small bit. I just finished doing that. And now we've got to take this and drill all the rest of them out with a large bit. And then this piece will be ready to bond to the roof. And it's coming out great. It's screwing right into the structure, and the screws are really binding up nice and tight. Let me show you what we got up here. So, ain't nothing to see really. There's the hole, and that one's already threaded. And all the rest of them here, I haven't put screws in it. Well, I say that. Every third screw I installed in the bus while I was standing on this ladder here. It's just to hold the aluminum from shifting around because it's kind of flexible. Now we're gonna do the same procedure on the next piece of aluminum that goes across here where those marks are that I can't even see in my phone display right now. Right there. And that'll give us the means to secure the front panel on this side and the rear panel on the outboard edge. The inboard edge of the rear panel is going to be able to be screwed right directly into that line on that rib. And it's really looking great. Alrighty, it's after 6 in the evening, and I just finished getting these rails attached to the roof. We've got Gorilla Construction adhesive underneath the whole way. It wasn't all I had done today. We were inside, we were putting in a circuit breaker box and trying to figure out how to do that. That took some time, and we have to run a new 120 volt line, trying to figure out which way to route that all through everything. I got all that figured out in my head anyway. But we're just gonna let this set up overnight, and tomorrow everything will be cured. The ones on the left side are already cured. That we did early in the morning. Tomorrow, what I'd like to see us do is get these two panels installed, and at least that way I know Miss Betty here can roll if she had to, and she's got her solar panels back in place, so it takes a little bit of the pressure off. She's going to go north later on and pick up the two panels in Orlando and come back, and we'll do the rest of that install. So tomorrow, after we're done with these panels and I make some little jumper leads to go over there, we'll work on the inside, put that 120 volt breaker panel in there and the extra 120 volt line so she can run her refrigerator. And that'll be it. Maybe we'll fix the air conditioning too if we've got time. Hey there, it's Thursday, March 6th, and we've got the rear panels fully installed, and they are solid as a rock. These are the ones that used to be up in the front. I'm scoping out our wiring here. I was thinking that I'd be able to series these. They'd be long enough to reach. They don't. So I'm gonna have to make a connection to series those. And I'm summing up how much wire we need. I got our pass-through installed, permanently installed. Gorilla Construction adhesive and 4 screws. We're gonna reuse these wires that used to be connected to these panels on the 2 new ones. And that's pretty much a day's work today. We did a little bit of work on the inside of the bus, took down some of the ceiling so we could figure out where this pass-through is. And earlier this morning we went to Home Depot and we got some supplies. So yeah, this looks great, man. This really is coming out nice. I'm very happy with it. All right, it's Saturday, March 8th. We got really good progress yesterday. These panels are almost completely installed. I didn't get these front 2 inner ones because I got to lean way over. And I mean, I've got my ladder tied right here so the ladder won't slip out. And I got everything drilled, but I can't reach up in there with my little smashed fingers to get the screws in. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna tip the panels up so I can have place for my feet to go. And then we're gonna put the screws in these and then lower them back down, and it should be easy. All right, it's about 5:30 in the evening. I guess today's Saturday. And we're about done for the day. We're all out of parts. Pretty much anyway. We just got 2 more holes to drill on this. And I've got that propped up with a stick so I can walk there to the front edge and do what I gotta do and then do the wiring and stuff. And we're holding off on the wiring because we don't have our Amazon delivery with the solar disconnect switches. And once we hook that up, these wires are going to be hot. I don't want to mess around with that because that's going to be about 40 or 50 volts. We've got this pretty much wrapped up here. I mean, we spent all day working on this. Don't look like much, but we got the circuit breaker box in and mostly all hooked up. All the breakers are in. Somehow or another, we went to Home Depot yesterday and bought a 10 gauge wire to run from this main breaker to the inverter, and it never made it home. I think it might have fell out of the shopping cart because I know we didn't pay for it either. But this is all ready except for the feed. I got our grounds and our neutrals hooked up, and all the hots are hooked up to the breakers. What else did we do here today? I had to thread these holes to number 8 because they are metric, and all the screws were missing. There's only 2 screws, the ones on the top, because the ones on the sides I guess were too hard for whoever to put back in. So all these are threaded now, and I've got those screws. They don't look pretty, but this has all been reconfigured. All this big heavy red wire, I don't know if I can find a before picture. I kind of goofed. I should have taken some before video down here. I don't know if I did or not, but this was all like crooked and everything, and so I removed everything and kind of reconfigured how it is and put it in there, and everything is, you know, visually straight. What else we got going on here? I relocated the shunt from back there to up under here to better utilization of space, and the shunt is hooked up. We took the batteries and slid them back some and got this aluminum angle here to prevent the batteries from sliding forward because there was nothing holding the batteries. And I got another strip of aluminum in the back and 2 of them on the top. So the batteries are locked in place. And I milled out this area here because it was kind of close. You know, just a little, you know. What else? Rewired this outlet with 12 gauge wire. So this is like code on this outlet. The other 2 outlets in the bus have got 16 gauge wire in it, and I'm just not capable of replacing this. It's just extension cord wire that's up in there. It'd be a major job. We'd have to pull like the whole interior out to get this stuff, because we're the previous people who built this bus. That's running through some like small holes and stuff, and it's a lot beyond the scope of what I can do here for Blue Betty with the short time that she's going to be here. So this outlet is in there. It needs a new cover plate. It broke. I reconnected the wires on this outlet because they were not, the screws weren't tight and those wires were heated up. There was a lot of loose wires in this. These little inline fuses are just kind of crappy. And they had wires in there that were way too thin in diameter to function properly. One of them even had, this might be it, like this little pieces of plastic behind the wire so that the screw could reach. So it was just like really poor. This one actually fell out on its own without me loosening the screws. I guess that's what happens. The screw is too short to tighten up on the thin wires. I don't know. It's just, these were loose. There were screws on the battery that were just barely tight. What was it? That was just finger tight. What were they? Maybe it was the nuts on the shunt. I mean, that fuse right there, I think, that they were just like hand tight. They were not even tight. Like they forgot to tighten them. So we've got 2 charge controllers to install here. You know, I guess I can ramble on and talk about that. I think the charge controllers are going to go on this wall. There should be plenty of space for them. I got a whole bunch of wire coming from Amazon. These 2 wires are not going to be long enough anymore, most likely. That's the ground and the hot for the 12-volt bus, electrical bus. I've got some bus bars coming with 6 terminals, 5/16 nuts. So we'll be able to make all of these connections rather than stacking them up on these studs. As is right now, we were going to have this big red, this tie to the other battery, and 1 more wire on here. And these are done. These 2 are done and tight. And this ground wire here is going to have 1 more wire on it to go to the bus bar, maybe right here someplace. And we've got breakers coming. I don't know how or where we're going to hook all that stuff up, but maybe in this space. It all depends. Once I get them in my hand, I'll get to see how they're going to go. All right, I guess that's about it for the day. Hey Maggie, how's it going, girl? All right, what's today, the 9th? Yep, March 9th, 2024. Little update, it's in the morning. We went to Lowe's, Home Depot, local hardware store, and Tractor Supply, and no one had the terminals we need. So we ordered them on Amazon. Those are supposed to get here tomorrow. Finish this up. We're going to close this up permanently here. I was able to take the little bushing out of this guy, and it fits this big number 10 wire. So this is the main outputs from the inverter, 3000 watts, 10 amps, 30 amp, 10 gauge wire for 30 amp load. So we got that coming in right here. This is the main input to our breaker box. I'll show you what we did here. Alright, so here we go. There's the inputs. Ground goes to the ground bus. Neutral goes to the neutral bus. And the big hot goes to our main 30 amp breaker. Got pin terminals on everything here. These are designed for stranded wire, so there's no pin terminals on those. So we're all set. We're going to be able to close this up now. All right, Amazon delivered. Got our charge controller. 150/85, which is overkill, we're aware. A whole bunch of solar wire, some 6-gauge component wiring, a whole bunch of MC4 connectors, and 2 solar panel disconnect switches that are really nice. Everything here is coming out really, really nice. Let me show you what we're getting ready to figure out here. Working on the placement of the 2 charge controllers. Disconnects I'm going to put up in there. I'll give you a good look at one of those, because as soon as those are installed, you're not going to be able to see them. These are really nice and very affordable. I think they were $20 a piece. And lastly, we got a whole bunch of breakers to put in, and we're trying to figure out the best placement for those. I think I got it figured out.
Going.
All right, so these are my cheapest Taiwan Radio Shack crimpers. But they do the best crimp of everything I own. Okay, and now I think I'm going to put a dot of solder on both of those. Okay. See if we can get this nice and hot. There. Perfect. Okay, last look-see before we close her up. This panel is fully installed, all 4 corners, solid as a rock, and all our wiring is done, zip tied. I put split loom over where we're going to be rubbing on that, which it will never in a million years be an issue anyway, but we had some, so we put it on there. That one's already drilled and ready to screw together, and that I'm gonna have to do standing on a ladder over the front. This one I was able to walk up there and put that one. That's the easy side to get to. That's why I left that one. That one's already drilled. Gotta drill a hole in this one and put these screws and those washers in it. Hello there, it's Tuesday, March 11th, 2025, and we're getting close to being done with Blue Betty. I found a refrigerant leak. I'll show you the old part here. The accumulator had rusted through and there was just oil everywhere. You can see all the yellow stuff. So we put a new accumulator on there. And also we put a new orifice tube in the high side, which goes there. There's the new accumulator. Got all new seals. She said the air conditioner was working fine, so we're reusing the pressure switch there. I squirted this whole thing down with simple green and pressure washed it to get all the refrigerant oil and dye off of everything down there, so we have a chance of in the future seeing if there's a leak. And right now we're evacuating the system, and that's got to run for about another 20 minutes. 25 maybe. And then we're going to put some refrigerant, check for leaks, and call that job done. Let me show you the wrap up on what we've got on the electrical system, if I can. I know we've been picking up and getting ready to roll here. Oh, she already put the cushions on and my hands are dirty. Hold on. All right, so we got 2 solar disconnects, and you see we labeled the position and also which one is front and rear. We got 2 MPP chargers, rear and front. We're covering up some information with those crackers here that we don't want to go public with. We got all our wiring done here. We're not completely finished. We got the aluminum on the back there, which that'll help dissipate some heat. All of our high current stuff is all jammed up and jelly tight. Okay, we went with the original fuse that she had in there. It wasn't working before, it'll keep on working, and the original switch, disconnect switch. So that switch right there just disconnects the inverter. And we've got a negative bus bar. The forward one is our 12 volt fuse box. This one is the forward MPPT, and this is the rear MPPT. This is the chassis ground right here. And this is coming here to our shunt. On the positive side, it's something similar. It's not complete. We haven't received all of our circuit breakers. We got the forward circuit breaker there is for the 12 volt fuse box. And then the next one back is a circuit breaker for the forward MPP charger. And we're going to add 2 more breakers back there as soon as they arrive. The other breaker is going to be for the rear MPP charger. And finally, the last one is going to be a circuit breaker that's feeding from alternator charging. Then we'll be all done in here. All right, we got one more thing that we'd like to get done if we can. We're going to add a circuit underneath the bus and tie into this receptacle box, and so it'll come up underneath the kitchen sink over there, so we can plug her refrigerator in on the other side instead of having what we got right now. This is kind of temporary. She's plugged in her refrigerator on this side and it's going underneath the rug. So waiting for parts on that, and I'll show you what's on the roof next. And here's the solar panels. So we've got 1.25 inch extruded aluminum, glued and screwed the whole length. It's one piece on this side, and the other side is 2 pieces because the original builder of this bus happened to put the fitting where the wires come through right in the structural member that's there. So underneath here, there's a fairly substantial steel structural member that runs the full length of the bus. And where those center ones are, that's the other structural member that runs down the bus. So these are screwed into the structure of the bus, not just the sheet metal of the roof of the bus. And we got stainless steel self-locking nuts and washers, all stainless steel hardware up here. They're almost perfectly flat, but they're slightly canted, so they won't collect water as bad, hopefully. I mean, if you're level, right? Nothing's ever level, but it's an effort. And it looks a little bit better with it's just a tiny bit lower on this side. We're experimenting, putting them flat, and these things it looked like they were sticking up like wings, even though it was flat, because of the roof being arced like it is. So it's only about, 1 inch lower out here than the other side, so that's fine. And those are 430 watt panels up front. There's 2 of them, so there's 860 watts in the front. And we took the original Renogy panels, which are 175 watts, and we put them in the back. Same kind of connection method, all stainless steel hardware. And we put the two Renogys in series, and these two Jenkos, we put those in series. So we have some extra high voltages coming off the roof, and that's going to help us with our efficiency, because if you double the voltage or quadruple the voltage you're going to have, or fourth the amount of current flow, less current flow, less voltage drop. And yeah, you've got the thing with the shading business, but this is a small footprint, and I'm not worried about the shading. We're going to be getting some shade on one, you'll get shade on the other. All right, it's Wednesday, March 12th. All kinds of stuff going on. Got guys putting in a driveway for me, which that was not planned at all. We've got our 120 volt outlet installed here. And the way we did that is we ran some of that blue flexible electrical conduit and put this marine grade 12-3 wire in it. And so that goes from there under the bus over, comes up here, so you can see that that blue stuff in our wire, and runs across here. We got it clamped up. Okay, and now I'm making some crappy video here, right? So, and we go in this box right here, and should have been kind of sideways looking, but there we go, that's better. Okay, and everything's all tied together nice and neat like, all code like, and I'll show you what we did underneath the bus if I can crawl under there. Came out nice. We put some little blocks behind the refrigerator, so the refrigerator is something to hit up against. I don't know what's going on with my phone here. There we go. So that's all nice and neat. And since we got a duplex outlet back there, Miss Betty's got a way to plug in her stove ignition. Here we are. We're just forward of the back wheel, and there's our flex conduit. We sealed it up there with Gorilla Construction adhesive to the floor, and we zip tied all the way across the frame like that. I drilled a hole, 1/4-inch hole every couple of feet, so it's supported all the way, and the other side looks just like this. Later on, Miss Betty's going to get some spray foam up around that water pipe right there, and we got something similar on the other side. And all we're lacking is 2 circuit breakers to be 100% finished, but they haven't arrived yet, so that's just the way that goes. All right, so about 7:15 in the evening, Amazon delivered. We got our 50 amp breakers. This one on the right is for our alternator charging, and that next one, second one from the right, is the one that powers that MPP charger. So now underneath here everything is done, all zip tied and looking great. We got one more breaker to install, and that's under the hood. And let me show you where we are here. So this bus has an auxiliary, I guess you'd call it, fuse panel up in the overhead compartment for all the bus stuff, and everything's disconnected except for like a dome light and a fan. So pretty much nothing is being powered. This is the relay here that pulls power from the battery. There's one wire that feeds this breaker right here, and it goes down to a big old stud down there where the battery cable's positive goes to there. So this thing works, but we're going to replace it with a new one, and that will be the last thing we got to do. All right, the breaker we're taking off is a 100 amp breaker. It's probably still a good breaker, but we're just going to toss this into the leftovers. Now we're going to put this brand new 50 amper on there.